I think it's very important that we protect the environment the best we can. So we want to plant some trees, because I spent my first, when I took over the farm 40 years ago, taking out all the hedges. And now, because of the change of environment, we need to plant more trees. So we're going to plant trees along this whole roadway over the next 4 or 5 years. Plant a few every year. And we also put in some ditches as well. So I'll show you other trees that we planted. You probably see me over the last couple of videos, out in the field cutting the weeds out in the field. But along the electric wires, along the roadways and the dividing ditches, a lot of farmers comes along and sprays them. But we don't, we leave them there because they're a habitat for wildlife. And I remember one day coming out here and there was 2 or 3 big thistles. They were about out height here, and it was the month of August. And I was just passing by and I seen 4 or 5 the most beautiful buttercups on the thistles, and they looked so happy and so natural, and they're so colour. So this is why I think we need to make sure that we keep some of those weeds and that here for their habitat for insects and wildlife. Because we don't need every acre of land to be producing grass to feed cows. We have to think of the environment as well. We have the farm divided into paddocks. They're artificially divided by electric wires. Originally this farm had little small fields, and we took them all out and we divided them into equal size of paddocks, or as nearly equally as possible. So the cows grazes in each of the paddocks depend on the time of the year, but this time of year we get probably 2 days out of each paddock, and then it's about 21 to 23 days they're back in again. The reason of that is that helps the recovery of the grass, and along with recovery of the grass is when the cows poo or cow dung or whatever word you want to use, there can be worms and maybe harmful bacteria in that, and it takes about 4 to 3 weeks for that to break down. So when you when the cows are in there for 2 days, the paddock is idle then for 20 days, 19 or 20 days, depending on your rotation, and it gives the grass enough time to recover, and it also gives time for any harmful bacteria that's in the cow's dung to die with natural sunlight and daylight. And along with that is it creates cryonine in the grass as well, which helps again to generate new grasses in the land. It's much more efficient than letting cattle into the, say, some farmers will let the cattle into the field at say 15th of April and leave them there the whole year, graze the same area over and over again, a much bigger area, and that's more harmful to the grass and is more harmful for the biodiversity. And that this works much better, and it's much better. You have ended up with much more milk out of cows, much better fat and protein. It's better for the health of the cows, and it's better for the health of the grass, and it gives the field a rest as well, so that insects and wildlife can enjoy the land as well. We can just open this. There's a spring in it, It's spring tile, and it just stretches over here. And there's a way of controlling the cows. So the cows just walks out and walks into the paddock. And when they get used to the electric fence, there's a little shock off it. If you touch it, you get a nice little shock, but it won't do the cows any harm. And in fact, they reckon that if cows even comes too close to it, they can feel a little shock in their feet. But look, it works. It's a brilliant way of managing animals and managing your grass and that. And it has worked very, very well. And along with that is, we have different paddocks, different sections that during the winter, during the springtime, if the land is wet, then we can let them into the paddocks in different areas so that they're not ploughing up the same gap. So if they're in this paddock, say for 3 days in the winter time, we'll have 3 different gaps to let them in and have